Hello and welcome to Get Writing. I'm Dr. Stavros Halvatsis. How many times has the first line or paragraph of a novel persuaded us to buy the book right away? First impressions do count, so it is important that writers nail the start of the story from the get-go. Who can forget these immortal openings, 4 of which are referenced from the excellent Oxford Royal Academy site? It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. The first sentence of George Orwell's masterpiece 1984 sets the tone through its jarring use of the number 13. Not only is 13 associated with bad luck, it suggests that something is off with the world, since traditional clocks have only 12 numbers. This creates a sense of anxiety and expectation in the reader that persists throughout the entire novel and keeps the pages turning. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. We had everything before us, we had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven, we were all going direct the other way. Dickens's use of contrasting clauses in the opening of his historical novel, A Tale of Two Cities, balanced by the repetition of "it was," "we had," and "we were all," prepares us for the back and forth conflict that occurs in London and Paris prior and during the French Revolution. Essentially, a struggle between good and evil. The tale is rooted in the particular and the general, and this pulls us into the timeless and universal aspects of the story. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Here, Jane Austen's somewhat satirical tone establishes the author's posture towards the social norms of the day. The line, we later discover, is associated with Mrs. Bennet, a persistent woman who is determined to marry off her 6 daughters come hell or high water. We secretly enjoy Austen's subtle but somewhat cruel social and cultural critique, and this keeps us wanting to read more. In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. The unassuming simplicity of this line is precisely what makes it work so well as an opening salvo, harking back to countless fairy tales. Furthermore, we are immediately intrigued by the word hobbit. We ask ourselves, what kind of creature is a hobbit? And why does he live in a hole in the ground? We seek answers to these questions, and so we keep reading to find out. And lastly, if I may be permitted the presumption of intruding upon such illustrious company. When I was a young man, and my life was bursting through like a newly sprung carnation, I thought about time as a phenomenon flowing from the equations of physics, something to be answered by the math. But now that I'm older and given to bouts of melancholy during my ambles along the shore, time and space have become a longing, and the equations have been tamed by syrup poured over waffles baked to a golden hue. Here, the narrator's flowery sentimental memory of his youth betrays itself through the phrase newly sprung carnation. It also characterizes him as something of a dandy. His initial belief in the equations of physics has been tamed, ironically enough, by time itself. But as the novella progresses, the reader senses something touching about his failure to solve an intractable mathematical equation that has consumed his life, a sentiment bolstered by words such as melancholy, ambles, and longing. The impression we will be left with is of a once brilliant man in decline, whiling away his time, reminiscing about his past over waffles baked to a golden hue. So to sum it up, a great first line establishes mood, theme, style, and genre. It hints at a conflict. It poses story questions. And it does this in a gripping or eccentric way. That's a lot of technique packed into a short opening sentence or paragraph. Well, that's it for now. If you found anything of value in this video, hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell, and drop me a line to share your thoughts and to help the channel grow. See you soon.